Welcome to RES classes. Today I am going to tell about the features of Indian Constitution. It is the largest written liberal democratic constitution of the world. The Constitution is a wholly written document which incorporates the constitutional law of India. It was fully debated and duly enacted by the Constituent Assembly of India. It took the Assembly 2 years, 11 months, and 18 days to write and enact the Constitution. Constituent Assembly was organized in December 1946. Its first session was held on 9th December 1946. It passed the Objectives Resolution on 22nd January 1947. Thereafter, it initiated the process of constitution making in the right earnest and was in a position to finally pass and adopt the constitution on 26th November 1949. The constitution became fully operational with effect from 26th January 1950. Originally, our constitution contained 395 articles divided in 22 parts and 8 schedules. The numbering still remains the same, but as and when the constitution amended, new articles were added with suffix A, B, C, etc. For example, when our constitution was amended for adjusting the right to education, a new Article 21A was inserted below Article 21. Now our constitution has the 25 parts, 12 schedules and 448 articles. Constitution of India has been amended for more than 100 times. Here noted, Constitution of USA had originally only 7 articles. This 7-article Constitution of United States has been amended for 27 times till now. The first 10 amendments are called Bill of Rights. The Constitution of France had 89 articles. The Constitution of Canada had 147 articles. Constitution of Australia had 128 articles when they were enacted. Our constitution has been drawn from different sources. Our constitution has borrowed many things from many constitutions. It was called plagiarism by many members of Constituent Assembly. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar stated that there is nothing to be ashamed of in borrowing. It involves no plagiarism. Nobody holds any patent rights in the fundamental ideas of a constitution. Yes, our constitution has borrowed good things from the Government of India Act 1935 and other contemporary constitutions of the world. The best provisions were selected from different sources and we should not be ashamed of that. Sources of the Indian Constitution. The Indian Constitution has borrowed provisions from various countries and modified them according to the suitability and requirements of the country. The structural part of the Constitution of India has been derived from the Government of India Act 1935. The provisions such as the parliamentary system of government and rule of law have been adopted from the United Kingdom. Features borrowed from USSR. Fundamental duties and 5-year plan. Features borrowed from Australia. Concurrent list and language of the preamble. Features borrowed from Japan. Laws on which the Supreme Court functions. From Weimar Constitution of Germany, suspension of fundamental rights during the emergency. Features borrowed from Canada. Scheme of federation with a strong center, distribution of powers between center and the states, and placing residuary powers with the center. Features borrowed from Ireland. Concept of directive principles of state policy. Ireland borrowed it from Spain. Method of election of president and nomination of members in the Rajya Sabha by the President. Features borrowed from the United Kingdom. Nominal head, President, like Queen. cabinet system of ministers, post of PM, parliamentary type of government, bicameral parliament, lower house more powerful, and council of ministers responsible to lower house, speaker in Lok Sabha. Features borrowed from USA. Written constitution, executive head of a state known as president and his being the supreme commander of the armed forces. Vice President as the ex officio chairman of Rajya Sabha. Fundamental rights, Supreme Court, provision of states, independence of judiciary and judicial review, preamble, and removal of Supreme Court and High Court judges. Preamble of the Constitution. The Constitution of India initiates with a preamble. The preamble consists of the ideas, objectives, and the basic principles of the Constitution. The preamble is described as an introduction or preface of a book. The preamble describes the objectives of the Constitution in two ways. First is about the structure of the governance, and secondly, it explains the ideals to be achieved in the independent India. It is because of this the preamble is considered to be the major element of the Constitution. The preamble to the Constitution of India is a well drafted document which signifies the values of the Constitution. The objectives which are laid down in the preamble are description of Indian state as sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, socialist, secular added by 42nd Amendment 1976. Provision to all the citizens of India, that is, justice social, economic and political. Liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship. Equality of status and opportunity. Fraternity, assuring dignity of the individual and unity and integrity of the nation. The preamble is the nature of Indian state and the objectives it is committed to secure for the people. Here noted, preamble is a part of Indian Constitution. Initially, the preamble was not considered a part of the Constitution and its amendment was not accepted. In Keswanand Bharti versus State of Kerala 1973 case, the Supreme Court ruled that it is a part of the Constitution and can be amended. India is a union of states. Article 1 of the Constitution declares that India, that is Bharat, is a union of states. The term union of states shows two important facts: that Indian Union is not the result of voluntary agreement among sovereign states, and that states of India do not enjoy the right to secede from the Union. Indian Union has now 28 states and 7 union territories, a blend of federal and unitary system. The Constitution of India establishes the country a partly federal and partly unitary government. India is a federal system because there are separate governments in the union and states and there is division of power. But there are constitutional provisions and practices which have imparted unitary features by giving more powers to the center. Some of them are: it provides single citizenship to all the citizens of the country. It has single constitution for both the center and states, though Jammu and Kashmir has a separate constitution. The parliament has power to legislate on the matters included in the union list as well as the state list. There are emergency provisions which make the system virtually a unitary system. The change in the names and boundaries of the states can be done by the Parliament of India. There is an integral judiciary system. There are all Indian services such as IAS, IFS and IPS. The governors of the states are agents of the president. There is an election commission which is central agency for election at all levels. There is an equal representation of the states in Council of States, Rajya Sabha. The planned development of the whole country is responsibility of the Planning Commission. The states are dependent on Center for Economic Assistance and Grants. Parliamentary form of government. The parliamentary system means that the ministers get their legitimacy from a legislature body, that is the Parliament of India. Our parliament has two houses, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So it's called bicameral parliament. Part 5 of the constitution trifurcates the state into three equal constituents, the executive, legislature and judiciary. In India, the government power is exercised by the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers, who collectively enjoy the confidence of the House and who advise the President on how the executive powers of the Union will be exercised. The moment the House loses confidence in government, the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers must resign and the government would fall. In our country, the Parliament is in a position to keep the Prime Minister and his ministers under constant vigil through its oversight mechanism and many other tools like question hour, adjournment motions, calling attention notices, debates, confidence and no confidence motions, scrutiny of budget and its implementation, public accounts, audit, etc. Integrated judiciary. In India, the judiciary is integrated. The supreme judicial courts are not in states. The states have high court, but the verdicts of these courts are subject to appeal to the Supreme Court. The Constitution has made the high courts subordinate to the Supreme Court. In United States, there are separate judicial systems for the Union and the states. Universal adult franchise. Indian Constitution provides adult and universal franchises to all the citizens. Every citizen who is above 18 years has a voting right without any discrimination. Socialist state. Indian socialism is democratic socialism. The goals of the socialism are to be realized through democratic means. Please note that in the original constitution, the term socialist was not in the preamble. It was added by the 42nd Amendment in 1976. Secular state. India is a secular country. Here no religion is a state religion. The constitution provides equality treatment of all religions by the government and equal opportunities for all religions. Again, the term secular was not in the preamble. It was added by the 42nd Amendment in 1976. Fundamental rights. Under its Part 3C, Articles 12 to 35, the Constitution of India grants and guarantees fundamental rights to its citizens. It is called the Indian Bill of Rights. Initially, 7 fundamental rights were granted, but after the deletion of the right to property from the list of fundamental rights, 44th Amendment Act 1979, their number came down to 6. The 6 fundamental rights are right to equality. It provides for equality before law, end of discrimination, equality of opportunity, abolition of untouchability, and abolition of titles. Right to freedom. It incorporates 6 fundamental freedoms: freedoms of speech and expression, freedom to form associations, freedom to assemble peaceably without arms, freedom to move freely in India, freedom of residence in any part, and freedom of adopting any profession or trade or occupation. It ensures personal freedom and protection in respect of conviction for certain offenses. The Constitution lays down that the freedom of life and liberty cannot be limited or denied except in accordance with the procedure established by law. Now, under Article 21A, right to education for the children between the ages of 6 to 14 years has been granted. Article 22 guarantees protection against arbitrary arrest and detention. Right against exploitation. This fundamental right prohibits sale and purchase of human beings, forced labor, beggar, and employment of children in hazardous jobs and factories. Right to freedom of religion. The grant of this right involves the freedom of conscience, religion, and worship. Any person can follow any religion. It gives to all religions freedom to establish and maintain their religious institutions. No person can be compelled to pay any tax for the propagation of any religion. The state cannot levy a tax for any religion, and Constitution prohibits the imparting of religious instructions in schools and colleges. Cultural and educational rights. Under this category, the Constitution guarantees the rights of the minorities to maintain and develop their languages and cultures. It also confers upon them the right to establish, maintain, and administer their educational institutions. And right to constitutional remedies, Article 32. This fundamental right is the soul of the entire Bill of Rights. It provides for the enforcement and protection of fundamental rights by the courts. It empowers the Supreme Court and High Court to issue writs for the enforcement of these rights. Fundamental duties. A new part 4A after the directive principles of state policy was combined in the Constitution by the 42nd Amendment 1976 for fundamental duties. These duties are mentioned below. To abide by the Constitution and respect its ideals and institutions, the national flag and the national anthem. To apprise and follow the noble ideals which inspired our national struggle for freedom. To sustain and protect the sovereignty, unity, and integrity of India. To defend the country and render national service when called upon to do so. To promote coordination and the spirit of common brotherhood amongst all the people of India, transcending religious, linguistic, regional, or sectional diversities, to renounce practices derogatory to the dignity of women. To value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture. To protect and improve the natural environments including forests, lakes, rivers, and wildlife, and to have compassion for living creatures. To develop scientific temper, humanism, and the spirit of inquiry and reform. To defend public property and to abjure violence. To endeavor towards excellence in all spheres of individual and collective activity so that the nation constantly rises to higher levels for endeavor and achievement. The main aim of integrating these duties in the Constitution is to remind the people that while enjoying their rights as citizens, should also perform their duties as rights and duties are correlative. Directive principles. These principles are in nature of directives to the government to implement them to maintain social and economic democracy in the country. It exemplifies important philosophies such as adequate means to livelihood, equal pay for both men and women, distribution of wealth so as to serve the common good, free and compulsory primary education, right to work, public assistance in case of old age, unemployment, sickness and development, the organization of village panchayats, special care to the economically disadvantaged group in country. Most of these principles could help in making India as a welfare state. These principles have been stated as fundamental in the governance of the country. System of independent bodies. Apart from three integral parts of the government like legislative, executive and judicial organs, the constitution has also envisaged certain independent bodies which are inbuilt mechanisms to act as the bulwarks of the democratic system of government prevalent in India. Such bodies are Election Commission, Article 324 of India to ensure free and fair election to Parliament, the state legislatures, and the office of the President and Vice President of India. Union Public Service Commission, Article 315 to conduct examinations of recruitment to all India services, Indian administrative services, Indian police services, Indian forest services, etc., and higher central services, and to advise the President on various disciplinary matters. State Public Services Commission, Article 315. In almost every state, there is provision of Joint Public Service Commission for two or more states to conduct recruitment examination to higher state services and advise the government on disciplinary matters. The Comptroller and Auditor General of India, under Article 148, ensure financial prudence and propriety and audit accounts of the central and state governments. The CAG is the guardian of the public purse in India. Three-tier government. The system of government as center government at state level and government at panchayat and municipality level is a unique constitutional phenomenon in India. The grassroots level of government at the panchayat and municipality level was not present in the original constitution. It was included in the constitution under 73rd and 74th Constitution Amendment Acts 1992, respectively, to widen the base of popular sovereignty in India and realize decentralization of power. The 73rd Amendment Act conferred constitutional recognition to the panchayats, rural local self-government, by adding Part 9 and a new 11th schedule to the Constitution, and the 74th Amendment Act gave constitutional recognition to municipalities, urban local self-government, by adding Part 9A and 12th schedule to the Constitution. Emergency provisions. Unlike the US, in India the Constitution itself provides for inbuilt mechanism for the Union government to assume greater powers whenever unified action is essential by reason of emergent internal and external circumstances. Emergency provisions enshrined in this Constitution of India enable the central government to fight with external aggression, armed rebellions, riots of mass scale, constitutional breakdown, and improprieties, and also to balance economy in case there is financial crisis. There are hence three types of emergencies envisaged by the Constitution. National emergency under Article 352 due to war, external aggression, and armed rebellion. A state emergency or President's rule due to breakdown of constitutional machinery in a state or states under Article 356. Financial emergency on the ground of threat to financial stability and credit of Indian under Article 360. Rest in next video. For more and more videos and to boost your knowledge, please subscribe, like and share our channel RES Classes that help you to take steps towards success. Best of luck.